Okay, guys, we're back, and if you joined us on our stories, we welcome you now to our YouTube channel. I feel like I'm one of our kids at home. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Pretty soon we'll have our TikTok channel. No, we're not.
It's
or
like
whatever other channel.
It's like kids in school, how they used to have the news channel.
Yeah.
It'd be like taking Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I did realize that I've been practicing for these channels my entire life as a human being.
Really?
Because I used to record myself and talk to myself. Yeah, and I would have a pretend microphone, and nobody would be into my, like, I would die if I had this microphone. Oh my God.
Dude, what if you had this technology back
I used to edit my stuff, but like, what was I editing it for? Like, no one's gonna listen to it.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
oh, this doesn't sound good. My voice is not good here. I'm not speaking clearly. And then, you know, when you used to tape over this stuff, because we only had tapes, and it had big buttons, I'd be like, rewind, and I would do it again. And I'm like, what am I doing again?
Would your parents listen to it?
Nobody!
No audience.
And then I would go in and interview my sister, because she was the only other person that would, you know, is in the house sometimes.
Yeah.
And then she's always reading a book. I swear to God, she read like
To this day.
2 books a day. Yeah, to this day, she'll read like a book a day. So,
I don't think I know many people who read as much as she does.
but she's done that since she was a
Like
child.
voracious.
Yes, and then she'll walk herself to the library and get another book when she was like an avid reader.
I so want to be a person like that.
Cool.
I used to read like once upon a time, and now I just feel like I don't have. I mean, I guess.
But it's not like she's not busy. Like somehow she fits it into her day.
Young sister and dad are the same way, and they're
Really?
extremely busy people, but they love to read.
I guess it's like
Does she
like
sub that
calming-
out instead of watching TV?
See.
No, because she watches all those shows.
There's
I don't know
only
how
so much time in the day. When
I
is
have
she
no
doing it?
idea, but she still reads to this day, but she would be in her room, and she'd be the only person that I could interview. But she would not have any of it. She'd be like this,
You can interview.
get out! And I'm like, I have one question to ask you.
Stop.
And then she'd be like, get out! And then I'd be like, okay. And then of course I would come over, and I would answer it,
No.
get out! And then I'd be like, all right.
Matt, doesn't having siblings sound so much fun?
Yeah.
But then what was I thinking?
I don't know, you were a kid, you were having fun.
But why edit it and nobody, like, it was not useful.
You're
Like,
being creative.
but today I would be like, oh my God, I could have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But none of our kids, I'm like, do you want me to set you up with lights? I got them a microphone, and then I end up using it because I'm like, oh, this is so fun. But nobody will use it. So anyways,
Aww.
so off topic. But Marisa showed us something that was very interesting, and that's what we want to talk about today. Marisa, can you just give us a high-level definition of languishing?
Languish. It is the way it was referred to. It was the forgotten middle child of mental health. It's between depression and flourishing. It's languishing, where you don't feel hopeless, but you just feel blah. Like you don't have the fire under you.
So
to
you're
get
just
things
like,
done. And I mean, we've talked about
so
this.
you're not happy.
You're not
but
happy,
unhappy.
but you're not like hopeless. You're just kind of like, ugh.
So are you just gray?
Yeah, it's like this weird fuzzy area where you're just kind of you're not thriving. You're not doing your best.
But that's where it's interesting because they were saying that that's what everyone's feeling
That's what people
after
are feeling.
COVID.
Especially because we
it's
were
not
like,
after.
you know, in this extreme anguish. That's what it said. After anguish comes languish, where you were in this like for all of 2020, and we're still in it, and we're just kind of like we're not in that high intensity anymore, but we're just kind of feeling.
Oh, because we're not in the height of like COVID.
Yeah.
But then we're not out of it.
We're not
either.
out of it, and we're just kind of, I mean,
In
the
this, like-
best way, like I told you when I talked to my doctor, she was like, it's like Groundhog's Day every day, where you can't quite look forward to things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just kind of are dragging through your days.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also, like, I have this bad feeling sometimes, like, are things gonna shut down again? Like that kind
I feel
of
that
stuff.
time.
So
Well, and you know me, I'm such a planner for like to not have anything to
so are
plan.
you languishing?
Oh, 1,000%. Yes, I'm going crazy. Like,
Right, because
I
you
can't
don't
even,
have
like,
a plan.
I don't have a plan. I can't book trips, anything. I'm like, oh.
Interesting.
I
Okay,
know.
but then the next thing is, that's interesting because we're all feeling that, I think. Like everybody. Matt, are you feeling a little languishing? Just a little blah.
bleh.
And not like, even like, usually when it's almost, holidays, I get all jacked up. I don't even feel jacked up.
No.
I'm like, yeah, it's holiday. Now I'm like,
right. Jacked up.
you know what I mean? Like I get all excited, like,
Yeah.
but now I'm like,
Well, that's how Yona and I are feeling
Right?
too. I mean, because it's just jacked up. Irene's just crazy.
you know what I mean? Though, like, you get all excited, like it's gonna be
I
holiday.
know,
We're
but
gonna
it's
do this. We're gonna do that. No,
Right?
I don't really feel anything.
But
It's
then
weird.
did
You're
it
right.
say to just keep your drive? But like, how can you keep that?
That is tough to keep your
It's
drive.
tough, right?
Well, that's when, and I still have. Oh, let me go get it. Hold on one second.
Oh.
The habit jar.
Oh, the prototype habit jar.
Oh, that's right. I saw the video on it.
It's good. I like it.
I like it a lot.
Okay, so maybe that's when you need a habit jar,
Yes.
right?
Oh, good.
So I mocked one
Good.
up. It's a you got it jar.
This is your beta version.
This is my
right?
beta version.
Beta.
So this is what I do, and it's a little jar. And like I said, I think there's like 5 people I want to send these to. So send me what your motive is. And I think this is, so languishing, right?
Languishing.
So if you, to keep that drive alive, I think,
Before, because you're inviting people, how are they going to DM you?
yes, but I
And then
really
how
need
are we
to
going to
know,
bridge that gap between like that? Remember, that was the issue last time.
it has to be very specific. And I think that was the problem where I didn't find anybody who, like,
So
I
the
could
thing that everyone
really
said last time was they
send
want
this-
your arms, right? And then that wasn't satisfying because you're like, well, that's too vague for the habit jar. So then what do they need to contact you with?
I think it has to be a very specific, like if your goal is to get better arms, I need to know, because the most successful way to do it is you have to have a plan. So you have to be very specific. It's almost like if you're like just wishing like for something, but it's too broad.
So would it be, okay, you want the arms, and part of the way you're going to do it is by starting to eat more plant-based, right?
Right.
And then you'll say, okay, so that's the habit jar where you're like days of plant-based eating.
Right,
So, like,
but I
that's
think what it is then you have to be specific, like, is it plant-based eating at least once a day with some meal? I don't know, but it has to be like that, so then it becomes a habit. It has to have that specificity.
Specificity.
But that's what they need to contact you
Right,
with.
because I think that's how you can.
Is
Right.
that your requirement?
Yes, because
Okay.
I think that's how it will be successful.
Yeah, yeah.
If not, then it's too broad, and it's just a jar of crystals.
Yeah.
So I think you're moving forward. I think that's specific though, because when you're feeling languishing, at least once a day you need to have that drive to push.
You know what you can say
Move
too
forward.
with this? It's like the idea of like, okay, like wanting your arms. It'd be like, I want to go to Paris, but not laying out any groundwork with figuring out how to get to Paris. Like if you don't start putting things away, planning, looking at and actually
Right.
having it as a vision,
Exactly.
then you're not going to get there. You have to
That's
be
right.
specific about.
That specific, right?
What you're
So,
doing.
but then you're like, wait, but that is very broad in terms of if you're feeling languishing or languish or whatever. What is it? Languishing.
Languish.
Then you need to keep your drive
I
alive.
think the distinction we made was the goal versus the path.
Yes.
So your goal was to get to Paris, but what's your path?
The path
get
has to be
there?
clear.
Right?
So
So
in
they have
order-
to contact you with, sure they can have the goal, but the
The
path.
path is critical. So
Yeah.
you just brought that up. Like maybe once a day, you need to keep that drive alive.
Yeah.
You have to commit to the fact that I'm going to do one thing that is keeping my drive alive.
Right? So if it's not like,
That's your path.
okay, you necessarily can't do arms every single day. You need to give rest.
Right.
All right, so then have a clean diet. Like
Exactly.
do
But
that.
but if you did that one thing towards that goal, then this is what happens. So the crystals are very small. They're tiny. Because I think the goals need to be, your job needs to be tiny like
Yeah.
this. It can't be big because then it'll never get done. So usually at the beginning of the week, what I do is I put it out here like that, and it's just somewhere. Also habits, it's really important to put your habit jar
Where you can
where
see
that habit is. So if you're trying to eat less or whatever, then put it in the kitchen. If I want to not drink wine 5 days out of the week, then put it by where your wine is.
Yeah.
Because then that's where your habit is. So then you just pour it out by that area, and then every time you do it that day, you put it in here.
I always love the way that sounds.
And I think it's so, and the
That's so
sound is
satisfying.
really
Right,
important.
yeah.
And then at the end of the week, if you've done it all, you've finished and you did it. And you will find if you do this every single week for like maybe a month and a half, I think your habit might stick. And I think it's really fascinating. But I think this allows for you to like have a check-in.
Yes.
And
yes.
And you'll see also on the table when you've got more crystals in here than in the jar, you haven't been doing your work.
Then your guilt will set in.
And you're languishing. Which leads to what we want to address, which is when you're languishing, what happens to you when you languish for too long?
Anger?
Right.
I know.
Because that's what we've been experiencing lately.
Ooh.
Woo! I don't know what it is, but just as a small company, it's just 3 of us sometimes here.
Mm-hmm.
There's other people here, but usually the core is just us and Chloe.
Yeah.
So we're small. And I think what it is I totally understand Amazon has ruined our expectations in terms of how fast things go. But we're a small company that we really do care about what we do around here.
Yes.
So, but we do pack our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We do make our stuff. And so I think that needs to be said because I find that people are angry because they're not getting things at the speed that Amazon's getting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And also customer service wise, I think sometimes people get angry because we're not answering right away, but we do answer, within the 24 hours.
Yeah.
But there's only so many of us. And I think that's, so I think there's a fine line because people want to work with small businesses and get stuff from small businesses, but then they're expecting customer service to act like a big business.
They're expecting customer service and the business to still operate like a big box store.
And I think that's really a tough thing to do.
It's tough.
And
it's, you gotta, I think, it's like we've talked about when you go to a cafe, like that one little French cafe or whatever, where it's like, that if you're gonna go there, you're gonna have,
But I think,
you have to.
and I get frustrated, so it's tough.
Oh, interesting.
When you guys grew up, this is what I've been thinking all day and this makes me think of it. Was everything open on Sunday?
I don't know.
Because when I was growing up, all the stores were pretty much closed on Sundays.
Yeah.
Right? And now everything's open on Sundays. And I remember when it transitioned from that, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Everything's open now. Now, where I'm at in my life, I kind of think there was a lot of wisdom in that. And I think it would be not a bad thing to get back to.
I agree with you. And it's also a very American mentality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very American, where it's just, because I was even thinking of Labor Day, just how it was born and of the laws that came from it and to give rest. And now that it's like the idea, it's completely lost, where it's like there's Labor Day sales and these people have to work.
And all the stores are open.
And all the stores are open. And I'm like,
well,
I
you
agree.
I don't know, you probably experienced this when you're in Iceland. I know we did when we were in Australia. Even to this day, it's much more the case that things are closed.
yes.
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 And
We're
people
closed on
get to
Sundays.
rest.
People get to rest.
And you know what? You just plan ahead a day and get your stuff the day
Yeah,
before.
people don't get angry, And I mean, it's always an adjustment when Yona and I go back, because sometimes we'll be like, "What? Why isn't this open? What?" And it's closed at this time, but it's an easier way of life in terms of.
So maybe as with so many things, the way forward is the compromise is the mix, right? So maybe the local physical stores and places, we could revisit the idea of being closed on Sundays. But then online, it's such a machine, and it's
Well, you could always
that could
order
stay
online.
open. No, but that didn't exist before.
No, exactly.
Back when we were growing up, it was like it's all closed today.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the anger stems from other things, and I do understand that, but it's just, I think we have to step back and just be like, oh, okay, well, this is a smaller company, or like,
And it extends.
or that
like,
restaurant's smaller.
That's
you
exactly
know?
what I was going to say. Is it extends beyond us, obviously.
Yeah.
It extends to. I feel like I've heard from many small businesses that customers are angry and they're
Oh
coming
my God!
in.
And even the bigger businesses who are so short-staffed, they don't know what to do. Like everywhere we go, and they'll tell us now, which I think setting the and that's why I want to set the expectations is, when I go sit down at a restaurant, they'll tell you now it might take a little longer for your food, and it might take a little longer for your drinks to arrive because we're really short-staffed. And then when they do tell you that, you're like, okay, cool, because I think they've been yelled at.
Yes,
and
yes.
people get really frustrated.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they have really inexperienced people who work at these restaurants and they don't know what they're doing, and then it's frustrating as a customer because you're like, what's going on?
Maybe
Why isn't
part
this
of
table
it
clear?
too is that since we've all been in such a frustrating situation for a year and a half plus, right?
Yeah.
when we do go out now or buy something, it's like we're looking for that to be a pleasurable experience transaction. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like, okay, I've been cooking at home for a year and a half. I want to have the full enjoyment of going out to eat at a restaurant. You know what I mean? So maybe there's more of the conflict too. Where it's like, oh, now I also have to wait.
But then it's interesting because it's like the world has changed. And so we're going out and sitting out somewhere expecting that experience is just going to be the exact same as it was before, and there aren't going to be any
the conflict is reality meeting our expectations.
Yes,
but I'm just wondering why we're having that expectation. I think maybe that's part of the dynamic. Where
That's
true.
That's a really good observation, right?
And maybe with like the smaller businesses doing business and the larger, like, was it because we were ordering everything from Amazon, so everything was coming so fast?
I think so.
That you're just like, well, why isn't this here? And it's like, well, because we have to pack it, and it takes us, like, we have to, there's a lot of steps that goes into getting an order, packing it, when there's not that many people here, you know? And I think that's the thing, and I think that's what I hope people can understand when we're just a little slower, and then, customer service is not open on the weekends. And you know what? There's no customer service. I sent a message to a large company. I didn't get anything back.
No, I won't get anything back.
So until so I think it's just one of those things. But I'm not going to send
also, like, there's fine print of
of how long
things are going to take and how long it will be when we're going to.
And I think we only talk about this because we care so much. And I think if we didn't care, then it would be like, okay, whatever. But we care so much about, like, every box that goes out. We make errors. We're like, oh my God, so embarrassing, or whatever it is. But I think it's just, we just really care. And we care that there's a good experience. And it's just, it's tough. And it's this tough, fine line right now. So definitely, and
you know what, and this is something to be said too, is COVID is still out there, and it affects things that not everybody is aware of in terms of making things and or shipping. Like there are still delays that happen because of COVID, and it's
so true.
beyond
it's true.
our control. That it's like,
totally true.
I'm sorry, like we weren't expecting that.
It's totally true, and it's with everything. If you go
everything.
across every single thing that you're purchasing, there's a shortage of something. Where sometimes I'm like, okay, come on now. And they're like, you go somewhere, they're like, there's a shortage of cups, and you're like, so they're, whatever it is, you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to have to buckle up because I feel like there's going to be a shortage of people shipping holiday gifts.
Ooh.
I have a feeling about it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's what's, the languishing, and I couldn't figure out what the source was, but that makes a lot of sense.
Right? I think there's this pent up, like Matt said, from a year and a half of just like,
I know.
And it's just coming out.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just one of those things, and it was funny because we have a gas station here, the what is it called? MASH?
Yes.
And it's way cheaper, but
Great
the line is insane.
It's ridiculous, that line.
So I made a mistake one time, and I'll own up to it now. I was parked, and we were all waiting in line, but then you know how sometimes when there's two spaces and the space in the front of the car is empty? So there were two empty spaces. So one car ahead of me was like, I think went around and then backed up, and I was like, oh, that's kind of smart, because I thought that was like making it go faster. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll copy him. So I did it, and then I put my gas in, and then people started yelling at me, and I was like, what? I was like, because I was trying to make it go faster, but I now understand it where, because I did that, it made it go slower. Because then the person behind, like, you know what I mean? Because then the person behind me who may have been done with his gas can't go anymore because now I'm in front of him. And I didn't see that. I was just seeing it as like, oh, that guy, that was smart. So anyways, so then I felt bad because I was getting yelled at and I didn't know why. And then I got a tip. I was like, I'm just trying to make it go faster. And they're like, and then it was just this brawl. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then so.
It's the first time hearing about it.
I was like, because I was thinking about it.
Does this happen today?
No, it was like a couple weeks ago, and I was thinking about it because today I went, and then I felt bad for the guy who has to like be in the center of all these brawls, because a brawl breaks out at that gas station all the time.
Yeah,
and the poor kid who works there has to be like the guy, and then people are so mean to him.
Yeah.
Because this lady was like refused to get out of her car because you know how we have the gas things on both ends. And he's like, can you get in that spot? Because he's just trying to move the line. And she's like, no, I don't want to pull the thing over. And then he's like, okay, you get in there and I'll do it for you. And then she's all pissed off. And I was like, oh, that poor kid.
Oh, that poor kid.
I know. So languishing equals anger at the mass gas station.
Yes.
And it does.
Practice kindness with everybody. People are getting out. They've been irritated. We're all trying. I feel like no matter what, everybody's trying.
I know. So I felt sorry for the kid. And I was like, you've got a hard job.
Yeah.
I was like, you're doing a good job. And I was like, okay, because I was like, dude, I totally blocked that whole gas station. And I still think about it because I was like.
And he gets yelled at.
And then he gets yelled at. And I was like, oh my God, I caused people to yell at that guy when it was my fault. But I was just trying to make it go faster.
Yeah.
But don't do that. Go in order.
Yes.
Even if you think you're going to make it go faster.
That's right.
So, anyways, that's what we were talking about. Think about the languishing. Was there another thing about the languishing? There's one more thing, or no? How do we turn that around, I guess? Maybe with the habit jar that you have to have one goal that moves you forward?
Habit jar. I think you got to keep moving forward. I mean, it's hard, though.
But it's easier in this state just to not move forward and
right
stay
now,
gray.
Yeah, it is. And well, that's what I was reading about languishing is it's not as detectable as depression or something like that because you're still going to work every day and getting everything done.
Still smiling.
Yeah, but you're just kind of feeling
unmotivated.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's hard. It's hard right now. I mean, like I was talking, we feel like prisoners because we're not going out.
Baby,
because we have the baby and we don't go out a lot and we can't plan.
But there is one thing that I do, and it keeps things fresh and it keeps things moving forward. So now I have all these habits I do every single day. I think I have too many habits where it's taking my mornings very long.
Guess what it is?
What?
Is it when you go outside about friends?
Yes. So I think that everyone should try something new every maybe 2 months.
Okay.
Like a new habit you want to tag on to your very long list of habits now. Because I have this whole morning routine now.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this thing is going to take me to the night.
Irene's like,
I could do
You
this
have
for
a multi-step
I could do this for a job. Like it all started with just drinking a whole liter of water every morning. And that takes a while, right? So that's already like my first thing I do when I wake up. And then I drink my coffee and there's all these things. But then
I say hats off to you though, you've been very consistent.
I have. And I think but now it's become a habit where your body just needs the water in the morning. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like I never thought I would need water in the morning. But, so one thing I'm trying is I do these this crazy old lady warm-up routine before I start my exercise to get the body moving. And so I've been doing it in the house, and then I was reading somewhere where it's really important to go outside.
Very important.
And it's really important, but it's too early in the morning, but to get sun on your face.
Yeah.
So I'll pretend. So I've been now doing my warm-up outside at like really early in the morning, so I'm a little scared because it's like, what skunk is going to come out at me? But I'll do it, and then I do it on the grass.
Barefoot.
Okay. Barefoot. And I do my whole warm-up routine outside.
I just would love to see your kids' faces when they like look out
we're all
the window.
sleeping.
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares. But that's just my new thing I'm tacking on.
And they're like, mom's outside on the grass again.
Doing her.
Like I hear that door open, it's like this, it's like, and we're all in bed sleeping, the dog's like passed out, I hear the door go like that, and then I start hearing the.
Yeah, because I do my breathing exercises. It's part of my whole routine. So that's awesome.
It's amazing.
So that's a new thing I'm tacking on. So I think that if you have these things, I think try new things.
I agree.
But don't do them all at once. I think it's just like, okay, I've got this down.
You started just with the water.
I just started with the water, and then it gets more and more. I'm like, dude, I do dry brushing. I have to do my 2-minute ice water shower. I'm like, this is a lot. This is too much. And to drink that entire concoction of vitamin drinks, I'm like, oh, God.
Oh.
But when that's done, that's my whole routine is done. When I finish drinking that vitamin thing.
It also feels like, I mean, these aren't arbitrary things. It also feels like you're putting money in the bank.
I like it. But it takes work.
It takes work, and if it makes you feel good, like honestly, then.
But maybe that will help with the languishing, Because then it's like there's something to move forward with. I don't know.
I think it's like, I mean, at least I know with me, now that we have a kitchen again,
Yes.
it feels
Looks
so
so good, by the way.
Congratulations.
Well,
So you could cook.
so I can cook again, I can juice again in the mornings, and it's like becoming a thing where I'm like, oh, this feels so good to have this juice and get the, like, everything going and not have that stress.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's good to see now you have your thing that you have to do every day. And I think that's what makes things go forward.
Yes.
And then if you try to really be consistent with it, I think then that keeps it keeps the motion forward. I think you just have to keep your motion going forward.
Yes.
Instead of
You have to keep motion.
yes.
This is what
Flow. That's what
Motion.
it said in the thing.
Oh,
flow. Yes, you have to
Flow.
keep moving.
Maybe
But also,
outside
I don't think we
on the
need to put the
grass.
expectation of the huge routine. It's like any little, as long as you're moving.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what
Maybe that just means making your bed.
we were talking about this with we watched Anthony Bourdain movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot to cover there.
It's heavy. It's really good.
But I think with depression and with alcoholism, I think if you look at two people who are both alcoholics, one gets really depressed and they don't leave the house ever again, which happens, and that's a lot of alcoholics. And I watched this whole thing. Women are more likely to do that. than
Really?
men. It's really interesting. So that's interesting as an alcoholic.
Yes.
Like you don't leave, you become like a shut-in.
Yes.
But then there's a type of alcoholic where they're always moving around. Like, always moving, because they got to keep moving. And maybe it's because you got to keep searching for the next alcohol. Like, and so the one that keeps moving around, I think, stays alive longer and may get better than the one that just gives up and becomes depressed at home. So it's interesting. So it's even as in that state of depression and real, mental illness, the one that keeps moving may stay alive longer than the one that doesn't. And that's the moving forward.
Yeah.
The motion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
we're not doctors, but this is what we've observed.
We observed it because we're trying to figure these things out.
Yes.
I'm like, well, because we all have experienced these
Yes.
things. So I think we just, and it's very confusing, what happened? So I think it's just that was interesting insight.
Yeah.
Until you decide to give up, and then you're like, I don't want to move anymore, and I can't move. And I think that's what Anthony Bourdain maybe felt in the end.
And you know what, to be fair, sometimes you can't move anymore.
Right, right. But I think maybe that was part of, he didn't want to travel anymore.
If you can move.
Yes.
It seems that it leads to positive things.
The flow.
Versus not moving.
Keep it flowing. But I think
it's very, if you think about it, like a lizard brain almost.
Like
if
movement
you think
is
about
life,
it,
right?
Movement is life, like animals who end up.
We keep coming back to that.
To say it, but
no, it's
who
so basic.
in nature.
Yeah.
It's true, and I think
keep moving.
Just keep moving, and I think it's easier said than done because I definitely was not moving for a long time. But I think it's just you gotta keep moving.
Well, it's hard too. I'm finding, especially with the baby, is finding that place where you don't feel completely selfish with doing something for yourself. And not just selfish, but it's okay, you have a plan today, and then the plan completely gets thrown off because she's crying, she's teething, she's going through this, and it's okay, now we gotta, it's...
So that's why I keep saying over and over, I think you have to be very generous to yourself in what your definition of movement is.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, especially when you're in those crazy situations, not to be tripped up if the structure explodes, like you're talking about. Just be kind on yourself. And it's any small movement counts.
Well, and that's, what I've
true.
been okay, if I couldn't get on Peloton, we're going for a walk. We're going to get her loaded in.
And move.
And because she won't be cranky on the walk, and we'll take half an hour.
See?
Right? And it's just, but it's amazing, like we've talked about so often what getting outside can do.
Critical.
It's not good to be in all the time.
Nope, and I think getting
people.
outside is really critical because, I've been listening to a lot, Dr. Huberman, who's too scientific, but I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
But his main thing that because he studies the brain, it's like starting your engine every morning.
Yeah.
You actually need to go outside and move forward, motion outside with the light on your eyes, with your eyes open. It's part of
Not
it
closed.
not closed. Not closed. Don't walk, but outside.
Yeah, no.
Because you know what I find on the Peloton, I like to bike in the dark. I don't turn on the lights. really dark in the room.
I was
like
not expecting you to say that.
It's true. I don't like the lights
you
on.
Just felt on like. How did you go from it's so good to be outside with your eyes open to be?
Because when he said that, I was like, oh,
I
great.
love biking.
I know, because when he just said that, I was like, oh no, I've been doing it all wrong. I wake up and I go bike in the move forward motion in the dark. Totally
I don't know
didn't
why that
do
made me laugh so hard.
And then he says lights are. I was like, okay, I'll turn on the light. It has the actual sunlight. I was like, God dang it.
That was just.
Yeah, I like to do it in the dark. I don't know why. And then I came up with this crazy idea. I'll treadmill in the dark. That's a bad idea. You'll definitely hurt yourself.
I agree.
You definitely need a light
killing
on.
me right now.
So I was doing it wrong. But outside, move forward 10 minutes.
Yes, it's very.
And they said it's even important for your pets to do that.
Oh yeah,
That's
Lincoln.
why he takes his dog out for a walk.
Oh, Lincoln won't let us.
Right?
Yeah.
So you guys do that every morning. So
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that's good for the baby too.
I know she loves being outside. It's actually kind of amazing how much she calms down. I mean, not that she's like not calm already. She's a
such a
very
good
chill
kid.
baby, but like when she's outside, she's
So happy.
chill and happy. We can't wait to take her to Yosemite because we know she's just gonna be like so
That's
happy the whole
amazing.
time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she loves being outside.
Yeah. So if you're feeling languishing
Languishing or anger,
anger,
move forward
yeah, move forward
and be kind.
and please be kind. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.